Welcome to Dorks Are Dangerous, Chronicle 3, Session 4. Bruce, a lot has happened.
Yeah, quite a bit has happened actually. We stumbled upon a fabulous bakery from where did we start? Where were we previous to that though?
You were in the keep originally. What was it? Ryanthal was waiting for some items to come back from the Viceroy, and as you guys were waiting there, hanging out with Agna in her room, checking out
Oh,
her
that's
cool
right.
inventions, yeah, and looking at her different books she has in her study room, Edmund was attuning to a pearl of power so he could get back the locate object spell to be specific.
Yep, and I was
And
looking at some sort of book,
mhm.
a paladin book, and then Ryanthal was kind of distracted, and we all left,
Yeah,
and we
you
went to
guys
the.
decided to. Edmund got his spell going. You guys started run. He started running around the keep, and you went with him. All of a sudden, Shelton went with him, and Rifle kind of got left behind at the keep because he had some of the stuff he wanted to make sure of. So he did some stuff on his end, and you guys got a ping. You went and investigated over in the Dolo district.
Yeah, because we knew that we needed to move quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because we were running out of time on the spell, on the locate spell, and then we found the bakery. We went upstairs, found a guy named Thomas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he tried to. Well, he didn't try to. A failed attempt at a door or something set the tapestry ablaze that we found on the ceiling. We grabbed that, put it out, captured him, and now we are escorting him to a church for protection.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, Edmund's church, the Church of Aranon, which is in the middle of the Dolo district, so midtown. And you're, like I said before, you're kind of being sneaky, kind of not being sneaky. So you're taking some bypass roads as well as some main roads to get there.
Yes, and I think that's about the high level of it.
That is true. And now we come to Ryanthal. So you're still in the keep. Everyone else is not. What you
Yep.
want to do?
So I think we discussed briefly last episode that there were a couple experiments that Ryan thought was going to do,
Mm-hmm.
specifically on, basically on the mechanized chair to see if the to use identify to understand if fabricate and a couple other techniques will work on the mechanized chair. I think I got the earrings now from Ebony.
Mm-hmm. You have
So I do
four
have
sets.
4 sets, and each one allows me to cast Sending 5 times a day.
Correct. And they recharge 1d4 times in the morning. Or 1d
Okay.
1d4 plus 1.
Okay, 1d4 plus 1. Okay, so there's a bunch of I think I'm going to take a moment, like now that once I've received the rings, I think I'm going to leave Agna and Evany, and I'm going to retreat back to my room for a little bit. Before dinner, if there's enough time for that. And then, of all these sending spells that I've got, I'll give you the list of information that I would want to relay back to my university and some compatriots out in the overworld.
Okay. Agnes says goodnight
So-
to you, waves you away as she settles back down in her chair.
Perfect. I would probably give her little cat a little scritch before I leave.
He purrs up at you. It sounds weirdly deep for a cat.
Great. Well, Agna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I will see you at dinner or perhaps after.
Oh, okay. We'll see you at dinner. If you need anything else, you can just come find me or call for Whiskers. He's usually around somewhere.
Oh, just call for Whiskers and Whiskers will show up. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, hang on 1 second.
And then she wheels over to her desk and pulls out a little bell
So he really likes these.
and holds it out to you.
Oh, I see. So if I just jingle this, Whiskers will appear or come running?
Probably.
Okay. Lovely. That's fascinating. Thank you for this bow. It's a very lovely gift.
You're very welcome. You have a good evening, sir.
You as well. And then I'll take my leave, head on up to my room.
Fantastic. Are you just going straight there? Are you perusing the halls, taking the long way?
Oh, there were a couple of things that I was going to follow up with you on. All right. When Edmund took off, had a realization. How big is the keep end to end?
The keep is roughly from the front to the back about 700 feet. It's not a huge keep. From the east to the west, it's over 1,000.
Excellent. Sorry, from east to west, it's over 1,000?
Roughly.
About 1,000.
Roughly about 1,000.
Roughly about 1,000. Okay. The lava flows that we saw in that arena, am I correct in understanding the arena was like in the below the keep?
It was down in, so you were on the first floor when you were with the Region 3 and everyone else. That was a level lower.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is fun. All right, so talking about I think I do want to, since I do have free reign of the castle, and I can give a report back whenever. My compatriots are off doing, I don't know what's going on with them. They all just took off running.
Shenanigans, yes.
Shenanigans of some sort. So I think I'm going to take that time to get familiar with the keep itself as far as where the different rooms are, where the different locations are. So I know that there's a wing where there's the guest rooms with me and Shelton, and then 2 others. And then there's another wing with another set of guest rooms that has Edmund, Keeney, and 2 others as well. I assume that those were the other delegates that we saw at the tech demo. I don't know what to call it other than a tech demo.
That's fair. So in the second floor where your rooms are located that share the common room, kind of like a dorm situation, share the common room but have the 4 bedrooms, that's your main area. That's your place of respite. There is another set of these rooms that is down the hall from you. You would assume that's where the other nobles' representatives are staying. There is a servant outside their door, as there's always a servant outside your main door as well. There, as you're walking around, do you go to the left or the right? Actually, do you turn left or right when you come out your doors?
When I come out of my door, I guess I'm still having an abstract concept of where everything is.
Got it. Okay, so you guys are specifically on the west side of the keep, if you're facing the back of it. Okay? So the south to the west. So that's the side you're on. Towards the back of the keep, there is the gardens. And you've heard mention these, you've probably walked past them at least once during this day as you were kind of scoping out your rooms and stuff, but you haven't gone in there and looked yet. But you do see like the glow of Jadeite crystals over there. It looks like a big open space. You do see some plant life back there, but it's kind of hard to see from where you're standing. Delicate archway, it looks weirdly luminescent and phosphorus compared to the stone and cold metal of the rest of the keep. And then on the other side of the keep on the second floor, as you meander around, is maids and servants' quarters. And you could go in and look in there. They're just standard quarters. You do see a couple of people. If you do go in, someone will look at you, and you do see like they are just normal servants. They don't have the masks or anything. These ones look new. They look a little scared of you because they don't hold that same like regal conditioned servitude as the Zoron servants who are masks do, or as Ploop Throop, the butler you've seen a few times.
Okay, gotcha. So there are different tiers of servants, essentially, or different echelons, hierarchy kind of thing going on.
Right.
Okay. Ooh, that's fascinating.
But they are definitely in their
Makes
rooms,
sense.
and as you walk by, there is a guardian clockwork outside their door, their main door. So they're
Okay.
not leaving.
I guess I take it with everything being on lockdown at this point. Right. I mean, everybody's in their rooms, and there's clockwork guardians patrolling the halls, essentially, right?
Yes.
I guess everybody essentially is scattered and locked in, except for Ryanthal, right?
Essentially, so as far as you've seen, on the second floor.
Excellent. Okay.
Do you want to explore any of these spaces on the second floor, or do you want to go downstairs?
Let's see. I want to double check something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And see. What I was thinking is, I have. I told you about the warding glyphs that are terrifying, where I
You
can
sure did.
for those trap spells. The thing I wanted to get clarification on that I'm looking up is Dimension Door,
Okay.
which allows you to teleport 500 feet in any direction.
So long as you have an
Um,
idea of the terrain, I believe.
Yeah, and it even says like such as 200 feet straight downward or upward north to the northwest at a 45-degree angle for 300 feet. The exact language of the spell is you teleport yourself from your current location to another spot within range. So I am curious on if I can leave this as a trap to teleport somebody else. I feel like technically using this to teleport somebody else might not be how the spell is worded, and that's kind of what I wanted to double check.
You could try.
Hmm.
I'm not saying no. You could try. It could just have consequences for whoever triggers it.
Well, whoever triggers it might end up 300 feet outside of 300 feet up in the air. Well, I don't know. How high are the ceilings around Diarden?
Oh, you're inside a peak. Like, the ceiling is non-existent. So actually,
Gotcha,
for the
gotcha.
audience, so you're aware, Diarden is built, I will reiterate, like an upside-down pyramid or a fracking zone. So everything is downward, and the ceiling from the center, because it's surrounded by that giant, like, force field almost, it just goes almost into pitch blackness, and you can just barely see the whole of where one of the peaks is up high, just barely, because of the light that goes up.
Excellent. All right. Well, I don't actually think I have the spell slots to do that now. So we'll hold on to that for a moment. But I think I'm going to scope things out at least and kind of like get an idea of where I think things might go down, especially knowing that there's other ambassadors from other regions, one of which I don't like very much. So I think I kind of want to get an idea for, I think on the second, so let me take a second back. Okay. I would like to continue on the second floor and figure out exactly where everybody's rooms are, if that's a possibility. So as far as the other ambassadors and visitors, I want to know, are they in the same wing with me and Sheldon? Are they in the ring with Edmund and Keeneath? Are there other rooms or guest areas that people might be staying in? Yeah, but I think kind of looking around. Also, yeah, really just kind of scoping out the bedroom situation. Also trying to make note of, do I have any idea where the Regent 3 stays? Do I have any idea of where the Viceroy stays? We know where Agatha is staying. With Whispers.
You know her, like,
Getting an
study
idea
room
of where-
is, yes.
Her study room. Okay, that was not her bedroom. That's
No.
good. That's a lot less creepy.
Yeah, no,
Excellent.
that was only like a million books, a bunch of tinkering things, and a desk.
Ooh.
So-
Oh, my goodness. So there's a whole study workshop thing going on.
Mhm. Which is pretty sad for a
Okay.
9-year-old who doesn't seem to, who's just surrounded by books all day. Or maybe not. Maybe she really enjoys
Yeah.
it. Anyway.
But yeah, I would say at this point it would be a matter of going around, kind of making sure I know where everything is at that I can find out. So really just searching, making sure I know where people's rooms are, if there are other bedrooms, figuring out where those are, if there's workshops around. Yeah, I guess at this point, like just kind of looking around a bit.
Sure. Alright, so second floor, there's your rooms. That is actually, so it's the common room that's shared, but then there's 4 doors inside there, so you actually share with the other 3. This keep is not built really to house people or house guests very well, so they're kind of built like a dorm situation. Especially
now,
that
sorry,
room.
is it 3? Is it 3 rooms and then 4 rooms to 1 common room, or is it
Yours is
all of the
specifically
rooms share one?
Yours specifically is 4 rooms to a common room. You don't know the situation with the other bedrooms because the doors are closed and there are servants in front of them. And if you try to go past them, they're going to tell you, unfortunately, no, because everyone's in lockdown. They don't want anyone coming in or out.
Right.
But you do see, like, 2 other servants, Zoron mass servants, standing in 2 other doors on the same wing as you. So there are more rooms and sets of rooms down here, probably, but they're in front of those other doors.
I see. Okay, so I think what I would want to do is walk up to... I know the servants are not exactly forthcoming, and if I have anything I really want to do, they're going to tell me just go talk to the Viceroy. And he should be busy gathering up all the servants and the guards right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily want to bother him and ask him where a workshop would be.
Right. And you know from Ebony's conversation with Agna earlier, she said that he would not be dining with her that evening.
Right, because he's going to be quite busy. Well, that's interesting. So even though we're under lockdown, it sounds like we're still going to have a joint dining session?
More so that dinner is being prepared. So from what you would have probably heard from Ebony
okay.
is that dinner is being brought to the rooms. It's just he cannot go dine with her, the daughter.
I see. Okay. All right. I'm with you. That makes a lot of sense.
Otherwise, on the second floor, like I said, there are like servants' quarters on the other side of the wing. They are guarded by a guardian clockwork, guarded by a guardian, and then there's also the gardens up here. Do you want to explore the first floor more?
Actually, I think I'm going to check with one of the Zoran servants and just ask the question of, with the Viceroy rather disposed at the moment, we've been sent to him for most questions and most things that I need. If I wanted to talk about acquiring myself a watcher, who would I be able to speak to, knowing that the Viceroy is, again, indisposed and busy at the moment?
The Zoran servant looks to you, bows their head, and goes, well, the next authority on that would be the Region 3, of course, or Ploop Throop, which I believe is with the Viceroy at the moment. For what purpose do you need a watcher?
I appreciate your curiosity. In this moment, it's not warranted. There are things going on that are above your station, but good on you for showing initiative. And then I'll turn and walk away.
Okay.
I think it would be improper to just reach out directly to the Region 3. Probably a little bit.
Make an intelligence check.
Okay. All right, I can roll for that. Sure.
Just in general, just hit your intelligence one up top with your stats.
All right.
Just a she.
That's a 22. 18 plus 4.
Okay. You think that, given the situation, it might be a little improper, but weirder things have happened today. And given the authority you've been granted, you might be given leeway.
I see. As far as addressing... So, I mean, seeing them in person and now having these rings where I can cast these sending spells, I guess... Certainly I can't contact all 3 at once. I'm trying to think if I would know the difference between any of the 3.
You actually do know
I might not be
a
able
difference.
to do it.
Given that you are, I guess you actually do know a difference between the 3 of them. It's their names, how they're referred to. The Region 3 is the collective.
Yes, okay, so yes, the Region 3 is the collective, but I do know a way of referring to them as individuals.
You do know their names, you don't know which one is which, but you do know their names.
I see.
And that's because they're trying to protect the Clockwork Master from being discovered.
Gotcha. So I know the 3. I know one of them is Do I know which of the 3 names would be the Clockwork Master?
No. So give me a history check real quick, and that let's see with the roll I might be able to explain to you.
Oh, that is a 23.
23. So you
using all those good intelligence checks that the other guys wanted.
Oh, they're beautiful. Fills my heart with joy. Okay, so you know from both rumors and some based in facts and just hearing from other people that have been privileged enough to visit Diarden in these similar conventions that the Regent 3 So one of the Region 3 has died in the past. Actually, a couple have died in the past. And whoever replaces them, you think replaces them anyway, or they were revived, they always take the name of the departed one, or the deceased one, I should say.
Ooh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, so they're essentially stationary names.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, this seems really impressive individual. Oh.
Which
Okay.
also, with that 20, I'll give you another piece of information, has created rumors that that the Clockwork Master is not among the Region 3 at all. But that's just rumors.
I was thinking, shit. Because my other line of thought was right. Okay, so the Viceroy seems to know quite a bit about the Clockworks, and his daughter is experimenting with Clockwork Light, which almost makes me think that the Viceroy has plans or, potentiality that he might become one of the Region 3 or take the place of whatever Region 3 might be one of these Clockwork Masters. I guess that... Oh, shit. Because I assume that the other two regions don't really know a whole lot. Like, I'm assuming it's the region who is the Clockwork Master, who knows all the stuff, and then there's another two who are just, like...
That's a fair assumption.
Chilling. Right? So... So if I reach out to one, I would probably want to get an audience with all three of them in order to... I also think that if I reached out to the wrong of the Region 3, and they probably are familiar with the idea of blowing things off, right? Like if I said, hey, I really need to talk to the Clockwork Master, it's fine if it's all three of you. We believe that this assassination attempt was, perpetrated by someone who has an idea of how the Watchers work. It seems like they may have an idea of how to circumvent some other magics, including a lot of your Clockwork magics. It would be very helpful to get more of an idea of how this might have been subverted. Like, I feel like if the inventor himself would be like, oh shit, I feel like the other two are going to be like, nah, it's fine. It's not your business.
So are you
know what I
trying
mean?
to
Like,
message them then? Or are you trying to get someone to bring them all to you? Or to get to them?
well, I don't exactly want to make a big fuss about it.
I'd say it's pretty fuss-worthy what's going on. One of them almost died today.
No, let me rephrase. I don't necessarily want to give the servants a lot of room in the rumor mill.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like making that one passing comment to the guy about like it's not your business. I feel like I already like tipped my hat a little bit too much in like giving them something to gossip about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by like I don't want to be a big to do. I don't want to give them the wrong things. Actually, okay. See, Ryanfall's difficult because I have to do so much. I'm talking out my process. I run through so much of this when we're playing of like, okay, is this a good idea? Is this a good idea? Is this a good idea? Playing an intelligent character is hard.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How can I spin it? Okay, I got it. I know I'm good to do.
Okay.
All right. Because I snubbed that other servant, I'm not going to go back to him. I'm going to find another, who do I think would be able to get me in touch with the Region 3? Ploopthorpe is busy with... Oh, I'll just go to Ploopthorpe directly. So I would like to send
is with the Viceroy, currently.
He is with the Viceroy.
He's kind of his right hand man.
Yeah, I don't suppose that the... I will go back to the guy who I snubbed. I'm going to go back to the guy I snubbed. And I'm going to be like, hey, all right, listen. I'm sorry I was rude before. I'm sorry I was cross. The truth of the matter is, and I want to like get him away from all of his friends, make sure that I'm just talking to the servant one-on-one.
It's just him. The other person's maybe about 50 feet away, so...
Excellent. So yeah, I'm going to go to this servant in particular. I'm going to say, I'm sorry I was perhaps a bit rude earlier. You asked a question out of curiosity, and I'm sure a desire to be helpful. Unfortunately, I don't know who to trust, but seeing as you are someone who showed initiative, and I'm sure with nothing but goodwill, there were some attacks made out on the local populace.
Oh my.
And seems that they were perpetrated by the underground, oddly enough. Few civilians were harmed, unfortunately. I was hoping you'd be able to... what I need to do is I need to speak to the Region 3. I would like to talk to the Clockwork Master in particular, as it seems that these attacks were able to, evade the guards, and some of the Watchers seem to have missed some critical information regarding the perpetrators of these heinous acts.
Silence greets you as at first, as you cannot see their expression, as they slowly cant their head to the right. A moment passes, and then another, and their head straightens back out and goes, "Where would you like them to meet you?"
I think it would be best for them to, since they're familiar with the keep, they're familiar with their own security, if you could simply get the message that I would like to speak to them and have them contact me with a place to meet. I think that would be best.
You see their head cant again to the left. A moment passes. You see another servant come from down the hallway, past to the corridor up to the left, coming your direction, another Zolan servant who takes the place of this one, and he goes, "If you would follow me," and he's going to lead you downstairs.
Yeah, no, I'm just a little, as a player, I'm like, oh shit. I think Ryanthal's gonna have his hackles up a little bit too. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll follow him down as we're making our way down. I'm gonna make sure to cast Mage Armor on myself. Just to get that going.
Is that a visible spell, or is it just a thing that's invisible?
Oh, it is verbal, somatic, and material.
Okay.
Piece of cure letter. So I would need to just do a quick little thing and kind of mutter to myself, but I would probably not make that big a deal of it.
Okay.
Or try to be sneaky about it.
The servant says, "That sounds like a nasty cough. We can have tea brought to your room later." And he's been very monotone with you your entire interaction, by the way. Not reacting to your temperament with him whatsoever.
I see. Well, thank you. I'd very much appreciate, yes, perhaps a bit of tea once we've made it through some of this nastiness.
What's your passive perception, by the way?
Passive perception is 14.
Okay. That's plenty. You do notice...
Oh!
that's plenty. You do notice that you've seen them before. There are watchers in the keep. Several are looking at you. Before, they were just kind of monitoring the halls, but they're actually following you very distinctly with the servant. You're pretty sure that means they do that to anyone who passes by, because it's like motion detecting, but they seem to linger longer.
Okay. I don't think that's a... Okay. I would carry on. Thank you for letting me know that I spotted that.
You're welcome. So you guys head down to
I will say
Yeah.
Sorry, I do think I would freak out very much if they all scattered. Like, as long as the Watchers are watching me, I'm probably okay. When the Watchers are gone...
When the Watchers are gone and not watching...
Then I'm gonna be like, oh shit. They should have eyes on me right now. Something's bad. So if they scatter, I would like to know.
Sure thing. So they lead you down, and you turn a corner downstairs. Instead of going towards the throne room where you saw the security room, which is to the right, you go to the left. You pass a couple more corridors. It looks like you pass what may be the kitchens. You do smell something baking in there. Down that hallway, you do see a couple of stair towers. As you pass them, one corner, you see some small rooms, probably storage closets. You pass the way to the Great Hall, and then you come to that door you saw Daru try to get in when he was, for lack of a better word, possessed. And you see the Zolan servant from the robes produce a key. As it goes into the lock, something lights, and the whole door just kind of lights up in different runes. It's like a wave of like blue and red, and then fade out. And you hear click, and they hold the door open for you and say, "After you, sir."
I would just simply nod at them and say, okay, this has been very interesting. Thank you very much. And I carry on through the door.
The door shuts behind you. They do not follow. You are in a council room. By the looks of it, there is a large round table in the center. There is a fire in the corner made of runes instead of actual flames, so the heat wafts off of the red runes that sit in that alcove. There are various books. There are charts around the room. There's only the Jadeite crystals to give light, no windows. And standing before you is the Regent 3 in their silvery white robes and silvery pale porcelain masks. They're standing on the other side of the table, and they give a slight bow of the head to you in respect.
Ryanthal bows back, and
You have
Hmm?
something to tell us about our watchers.
yes, I was working with the Viceroy earlier, and of course, as you know, he's very busy diligently working out the details of this attack. My understanding is one of the three of you is the creator, progenitor, so to speak, of the Watchers, as well as the other great many mechanical wonders of your city. It would seem that the attack earlier today was perpetrated by someone who knows the inner workings of these creations sufficiently enough to not be caught by your Watchers or not identified by your Watchers, even here in your own training grounds with your guards. Knowing that this technology that you've held in great secret, and it seems that the danger you now face is by an individual who has learned some of the secrets that you've held so closely to your chests. My hope was that in aiding you and aiding the search, and aiding the Viceroy, that I might be shown to perhaps a workshop, a blueprint area, maybe an area where these are being created. I don't need to know all of the details. I don't mean to pry beyond what is helpful, but I would like to understand some of the technology that's being used here in order to help identify how someone from the outside, such as myself, may have infiltrated through and broken past your wards, your magic, and through this technology that seems seems to be causing this assassination attempt, as it were.
I was going to say, the one on the left is the one that spoke first. The one on the far right goes, well, I do not see why we can't allow you access to one of our watchers. With supervision, of course. We do have a lab here in the keep. And then the one in the middle goes, if we can ensure Dyerden's secrets stay in Dyerden. And his head kind of tilts towards you. His tone expectant.
I think Ryanthal looks back and says, I see your concerns. At this juncture, my only goal is to assist in ascertaining how an individual may have bypassed your securities. If I could be given access to a watcher, or perhaps even some of your guardian clockworks, that would be even better. In a laboratory, I can even do this under the watchful eye of another one of your servants, or someone with some technical aptitude, a foreman perhaps. Yeah, at this juncture, I have no intention on stealing any designs or sharing any information. However, I will also advise you that the details of this attack are such that it seems the secrets may have already been lost. But yes, I fully understand. I will not be taking any information out with me. We will operate under good faith, so it were. Unless you have some way of me giving you some sort of assurance.
There's a pause. The one left. Oh, that's not necessary at this time. But we thank you for your cooperation. Sandra, will you show our guest, Ryanthal here, to the lab? He may be given access to a watcher. I believe the first model of the Guardian is still in there, if he wishes to peruse it, though I'm not sure what use that one will be. And Sandra, who you may or may not have noticed, steps out from a corner of the room, towards the back of the room on the other side of them, bows very deeply to the regents and goes, of course, and looks to you, and gestures, walks around the table with you and says, if you will follow me this way.
Thank you kindly. One more small matter. I turn back to the Regent 3 and say, should I need to get your attention again as I go through this work and try to assist here? Again, of course, the Viceroy is very, very diligently busy working on this issue, and I'm sure putting his utmost effort into it. I do not want to distract from his efforts to immediately ensure the safety of the keep and yourselves.
What would
During
you
times
have
such
of
as
us?
these.
As they interrupt you, the middle one interrupts you. What would you have of us?
A way to contact you. Simply a way to contact you directly. Although it seems maybe just talking to any of the servants does the trick, but if you could confirm that simply asking for you is a way to reach you if there is something that isn't sufficiently important.
One of them taps the side of his head where the ear would be.
Mhm.
And then the middle one will go, Janinium. is my title. Turns to the left. That one goes, Sapono. And the one on the right, Depruvavi.
With that, Varanthal simply nods, bows, and says, I take my leave. And goes and exits with Sandra.
So you actually don't exit just yet. What she's going to do is actually you're going to walk to an adjacent door in the room, which is 2 heavy double oak doors, which is strange for a metal and stone castle. She's going to open them and start walking down a hallway if you wish to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. The doors, you hear them kind of groan and they shut behind you. Jade Knight crystals light up down the way, casting everything in that much deeper, almost indigo blue, indicating it is getting later into the evening. And all of a sudden, you come into another set of doors that she opens up, and you see a huge alchemist lab. It is a 30 by 30 foot room, wall to wall of all sorts of equipment, tools, tables. There are certain diagrams and equations written on the walls on various tapestries and papers. There's scrolls. There's these vials with bubbling liquids and different colors and vapors. There's a large stone wall almost completely full of books and scrolls, and there's a plaque above that. But you do see from Sandra's robes, she produces a watcher, places it on one of the tables for you, and says, please, you are welcome to the various tools in here. I will let you know if something is not to be touched due to the temperamental elements that are in this room. The guardian clockwork, which is opposite of that stone wall, hangs kind of on a rack, so its feet aren't touching the ground, but it's 7 feet tall, and this room is about 9 feet high. And its head, its big ocular circle eye, is staring at that stone wall, kind of downward a little bit. Its forearms hang. There's no weapons in them. Its body doesn't look as durable as the current models you've seen with around the keep. Would indicate this is potentially that first model they were referring to when you were talking to the Region 3.
Excellent. Well, I think Varanthal looks around quite amazed and says, so, Sandra, if I have questions or need some guidance, are you familiar enough with the laboratory space here that you would know, would you be able to assist in guiding me to the information in this lab?
I am aware enough of the practices of the Region 3, and that which I do not know, I can easily send a message and request such information. So yes.
Fantastic. I think Varanthal is going to probably set off to work. I have many questions. Yeah, so I guess how do you want to proceed from here? I can give you my list of questions.
Why don't you ask me your questions and then I can work through the answers.
So, main things I would want to know. As far as conventional magic, I didn't ask. Those anti-magic capsules that were on the Galashank unit. Do I see that technology here in the lab?
Make an investigation check.
All right, and that is 12 plus 4, 16.
Looking around, you see a lot of different beakers and liquids of various colors. You're not sure if one of that nature is in here, though. This is a large lab, and there's a lot of things in here. It's actually kind of almost messy in a weird, organized way.
Okay. All right. So things I want to know. If there's any details about how that anti-magic juice works. Like, it seems like it was a fluid that was injected. But if I know anything about as far as where it came from, what other properties does it have? Can it be distributed in a different way? Is it something that's just immune to magic itself? If I try to cast a spell on it? As far as the...
Circling back to your question regarding the Galashank unit and the green liquid that they seem to inject themselves with to counter magic cast upon them or various areas of effect. As you're speaking to Sandra, she goes, I have not been made privy to the exact alchemic components of which the green liquid is created and thus used by that specific type of model. But it was created in such a manner that it has an active aversion to magic. I believe, from what I've been told, many of the ingredients, and especially the most crucial, are sourced here in the underground. Not so much Diarden, but in the surrounding tunnels and underground landscape. When the liquid is ingested or injected into these biomaterials, supposedly, it momentarily fuses with said materials, and should magic be actively cast within proximity while that is happening, it rejects the magic and attempts to almost eat or destroy it actively in that moment. There are various formulas for potency as well, but again, these details are not shared with us servants.
As far as the mechanoids, the Watcher, the unit that's there that I actually can play with, I would want to know if other certain types of spells work on them, things that would be targeted on a creature. So, like polymorph.
Polymorph would
that
not
one in
work.
particular.
Would not
Polymorph
work.
would not work on them. Lovely. Okay, good to know that one. I would probably want to know. Okay, so the Watcher units, it seems like they're attracted to motion, or like they're following motion. Is that correct?
Are you asking Sandra?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm asking you as the DM. Like, this is stuff that
You-
Ryan Thal is investigating.
You're pretty sure that that's the case?
Okay. So we probably want to do some testing on that to see, does it follow the visible motion? Does it respond to sounds? What are the things that cause it to get its attention grabbed, right? Like if there's a loud bang on the other side of the room while it's looking,
You slam your fist
something
on the
happens out of
table on the
its-
opposite side of the room?
something of that nature, yeah. But it would have to be something that didn't involve any physical motion. So it would be like casting a prestidigitation spell for something to take place somewhere else.
Okay. Let's say you go to the other side of the room and you duck down underneath, or you make Sandra do it, whatever, however you want to do this, or use a spell.
Sure.
Something hits the underside of one of the tables, and you see the Watcher, which was kind of dormant, just like staring straight, all of a sudden turns its body and looks in that direction and starts to move towards it.
Okay, perfect. I would also want to check as far as prioritization. So if me and Sandra are both moving and then move in opposite directions, does the Watcher... Can I identify how the Watcher prioritizes a target?
Yes.
The main thing I'm getting at, so like I have all these questions. The main thing I want to know is see if I can figure out a way to identify how did that would-be assassin who spoke, well, I guess it wasn't even a would-be assassin. Well, Ryan Thal doesn't know about the conversations that have happened out in the city. But figuring out how did someone avoid the Watcher's watch? Like how did someone evade that? Yeah, I think there would be a lot of back and forth dialogue. A lot of this would be asking Sandra about how do these things receive their commands? How do they, is there a command word to activate them? Is there a command word to deactivate them? Is there a way
She
to
says
prevent them
yes.
from following an individual?
She said
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Well, then knowing that Sandra knows all of this, the next question would be who has this information?
Well,
I mean, obviously the Viceroy, the Regent 3,
mhm.
are all the Zolan servants given this same...
No,
Well,
not all of us. Ploop Throop is, but he is also the right hand of the Viceroy. Only select members of the Zolan servants are allowed that privilege in case of an emergency.
How are you able to identify which servants have this information, given that you are all relatively anonymous?
I believe the Viceroy mentioned we have our ways.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions of Sandra herself as well.
Okay.
So it seems like this interaction earlier prior to the... when I was talking to the Zolan servant, basically about getting in contact with the Regent 3, there was some very odd behavior there, right? Followed by this other Zolan servant, so not the individual I was talking to, but a different one, coming over and being fully aware of the conversation I had with the other guy. So like Guy A and Guy B. Guy B knew what I was talking to Guy A about. Also, it's clear that Guy B had access to the Regent 3, knew exactly where they were chilling and knew how to get into their council chambers, which seems like a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of questions about what can I find out as far as their ways go. So she says they have their ways. I guess I would simply press and say, regarding those ways and those methods of being able to communicate with each other, being able to parse information between other members of the servants, of those many details, what can I find out as far as their ways go? So she says they have their ways. I guess I would simply press and say, regarding those ways and those methods of being able to communicate with each other, being able to parse information between other members of the servants, of those many details, what can you divulge to me? Understanding that this is, with the attempt to prevent an assassination of your Region 3, as it were.
Make a persuasion check for me with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first one's a 9, and the second one's a 15. So with disadvantage, that's the 9.
There's a moment passes where her hands are always crossed in front of her, but they seem to like actually cross in front of her as you're talking to her, kind of like a defensive posture, and goes, "Believe me, sir, I mean no disrespect. I understand what you are trying to accomplish here, but I also must take care to protect our keep and our secrets. Just be rest assured, when we know something, the rest of us do know. So when something is amiss, all of us are aware."
So I think with that, I would look to Sandra and say, okay, I understand that you have some sort of method of control and sharing knowledge, and some sort of, I almost wonder if it's some sort of mind control, because that is exactly the information that the assassins have. Whatever your secret is, whatever secret you are keeping, would very much seem to be something that somebody else has gotten a hold of. Just so that you are all aware.
She looks at you for
kinda
a
like peering at her.
long second and goes, "Did you know the moon is visible through the peak at night?"
I did not.
She sounds a little dismissive that you said that. "Well, when you have time, I suggest you go take a look. Perhaps not tonight, but in the days to come with the convention. It is beautiful this time of year."
Well, we've been here for quite some time. I believe it's currently night. Wouldn't happen to know if the moon is out tonight, would you? Maybe
It
you can
will be.
ask one of your friends.
It will be. They're actually visible from the gardens, and also down in the library where it leads down into, or up into the gardens. The roof is open there. I suggest you meet in the library. I believe one of your
Excellent.
compatriots will be visiting there, either tonight or in the nights to come. I have not seen your compatriots, though. Where have they gone?
I don't know. The paladin just kind of took off running. My
Would you like to
fellows
know?
gonna take after him. Ooh. Why, yes.
Her head tilts for a
That
moment.
would be interesting.
You see the Watcher's head also tilts, and you see its ruby red, like, optical sphere flashes a little bit, and then she goes, "Oh, they're in the Dolo. Oh dear, what has happened?" "Well, I don't know how to phrase this other than they have someone with them, with a bed sheet over them, walking down the main streets of the Dolo district while the lockdown is actively happening, and it looks like they're heading towards the keep, possibly to the church if they keep heading in that direction, the Aranon church specifically."
Well, I suppose nothing as secretive as a man walking down the street with a sheet over him. That's about right. Okay.
I do hope they're mindful about that, given the situation. That will not be received kindly if the people see them doing this.
Yes. Well.
Should I send
Definitely.
soldiers to escort them back?
Ooh. I think with this, I think Ryanthal is suddenly very aware of a lot of things with these servants.
Actually, I apologize.
I would say
I should leave that to the Viceroy. Just a moment, and you see her head tilt. If you want.
Actually, Sandra, if you could hold off on that for a little while. These three are very capable of handling themselves. I think it best if we wait and see how things play out.
Well, if they have a
so to
suspect, the Viceroy should know. Do you not?
I think it is. I think it is pertinent, and I think also someone of your station, highly important, that you inform the necessary parties of what's going on. Let them know that this has happened. But I would advise that we avoid interference at this time. I will pursue my actions. The Viceroy pursues his course. We are all investigating these events differently. I think it best to let these three work their own methods and come at this problem from a different angle. I think that would be beneficial for all of us, rather than to pull them in at this time.
I understand completely, but also I answer to the Viceroy. And
For sure.
she turns her head again, and you see her go to. She's sending them something because the watcher's starting to blink.
I think I just kind of saw him just say, "Very well. I expected as much, but please let him know that I advise we do not take action."
You hear as her head still cocked. Noted.
Thank you.
He is aware now. Do you have any
Wonderful.
more questions about the Watcher? Or is that everything?
Well, Sandra, you are quite knowledgeable about these little devices, and seem to have quite far-reaching information here.
You are too kind.
Yeah. I think that should I require further information, rather than wasting everybody's time with coming down here to the laboratory myself, I'll simply send you a message and ask you direct, as it seems you have quite all the answers. I don't suspect I'll find any information that I'm not supposed to find anyway.
As you see fit. Shall I escort you back to your chambers, or do you wish to explore more of the keep? I know this has been quite the harrowing day for you.
Oh, I think one more thing I would like to address is, so of course the tech demo, as it were, there were definitely precautions in place and safety mechanisms and things that were designed to keep all of us safe. And some of those precautions had failed. Other than few particular servants, the Viceroy himself and the Region 3, who else might have access to these? I mean, certainly it seems the ability to get into some of these underlying mechanisms is tightly held information. Is there any other groups or individuals?
The only other individuals that are permitted to work on standing clockwork creations, those that have not been destroyed or smelted down, as it were, are those of, as you said, the Viceroy, the Region 3, a few of the servants, but also those in the Zoron district outside of the keep past the barrier. There is Alchemist Mortimus Grenchi. He is sporadic in his dwellings in his shop there. There is Horam Blackblade, the Durgar, and there's also Annette Brisk, who would have the most access to these clockworks. Annette's not so much, but she does come into the keep often enough that she would have ties to them.
Interesting. Well then, yes. That's quite a bit more than I had hoped. But thank you for letting me know. I think at this, I think perhaps I'll call it a night on this matter. Yes, I think I have a great many things to contemplate here. But you've been very helpful. Yes, if you could see me up to my room, I think that would be great.
Of course. She will escort you out of the lab, close the doors, lock them, take you back out to the council room where the Region 3 are no longer at. They've gone out the other door on the other side of the room. So this room has 3 doors. One is the middle door to the west is the one that went to that lab. There's one to the south, towards the back of the keep, and there's one to the north, the one that you came through. And she leads you out there, locks that door. The runes light up again, but in reverse. Instead of spreading outwards, they were spread in towards the lock. And then she escorts you back upstairs, leading the way a few feet ahead.
Yeah, I think at this point there's a lot for Ranthal to kind of figure out and digest.
Make a perception check for me real quick while you're digesting that.
That is just a 12.
Oh, it's good enough, because you do hear all of a sudden the thump, 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 thump of many clockwork soldiers' marching steps beyond the walls, leading away from the keep. It is getting late now.
It's getting late now. I mean, the lockdown's
It's
already
like-
been in effect.
Correct. So it's past dinner time, probably the evening time of eating when someone would settle down, but it's still
Mhm.
people could still be awake at this hour.
But why would there be a whole bunch of clockworks leaving the keep at this hour? Riot control?
You want to make
I think I would,
intelligence check real quick?
I mean, certainly they're not sending this many out just to get my rapscallion companions. Right? That's a lot for just those folks.
It might not be for
That's an
them that
8.
they're after. For 8, and I'll still give it to you. So because you just talked to her, that's why I'm letting it go. Remember, she said it's up to the Viceroy what to do with the potential suspect. The Viceroy
Still.
or the Regent 3. She only said she talked to the Viceroy.
So even though I have these earrings, I would say that one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to use the earrings to reach out to my compatriots and let them know that they're at least. I feel like it would be a good courtesy to let them know that they're being watched, but I'm going to intentionally not do that because I don't know
Okay.
how much these earrings are being if that communication is watched,
Being monitored.
so to speak.
Right.
Right. Like I don't want to be like, hey guys, you've been made, and then then the Viceroy's going to be like, haha, you're a traitor. I don't want that to happen. So
Right.
I'm going to specifically, like, as this is happening, I will intentionally not message anybody. I think I will look to Sandra and say, looks as though there's a great force stepping out of the castle.
Yes, I believe the Viceroy alerted the Regent 3 to what I communicated, as is his duty.
I see. Well, I suppose.
Then you see her. Are you in your rooms or about to go into your rooms?
I guess it depends on wherever I heard this, where I was at, where I heard the marching. Right,
We're
like we're
still
heading back to the
downstairs.
rooms. We're still downstairs.
Mhm.
Then we're still there. I think I would have brought this up as soon as I hear that. If I hear that noise and I suspect that it's a bunch of clockworks heading out of the keep,
Mhm.
I think I would bring it up at that point.
Okay.
I
As
also-
you do that and you're talking, I assume you're still walking as you bring it up. You turn a corner and you see her suddenly look real quickly around and goes, "You are being very bold. I'd mind that here." And she says it very softly, and her tone, which has been very polite, is more like a hiss of warning. And then she steps away from you, respectful distance again, and continues to walk.
Yeah, I think I just shut my mouth and carry on. And I think at this point, we'll head on. I'll just follow her lead for a hot second. Well, actually, so she mentioned the library. Was the library inside of the keep, or was that a building outside of the keep?
It is inside the keep, so it is actually below the gardens. The roof of the library opens up into the gardens. So it's almost like the gardens are a giant circle with a couple of cross-section walkways, and then they spread out into a giant rock face. It's actually at the back of the keep. So this side of the keep is not carved out like the rest of it is, where all the pipes are on the ground. It's all flat here. This is the one side that has stone, but it's because the garden is carved into it, and it feeds down into the library, and part of that is stone there. You're not sure why this is the way it is. It might have something to do with the magma flows below, and maybe it is structurally needed, but that is the one part of the keep that is not completely carved out, and that giant rock almost encompasses the whole of the back of the keep to the south. And then behind it, it's carved out again for maybe another 200 yards before it reaches the Dolo district.
I see. Well, in that case, I think actually I will say, before it gets too long into the night, I do think I'll actually say, instead of going to my room, Sandra, I think perhaps I will go check out the library this evening, as you've earlier recommended. It seems like a nice night for it.
As you're walking, she says under her breath, "You will want your compatriots with you.
Ah,
I'd hoped you would have
Well.
all stayed together, but this will have to do."
yeah, I think we go with it. I'll just kind of say, well, is it something that I should have them with me for safety, or is there another reason?
She's looking around. She's trying not to get too close to you. Are you wearing one of those earrings?
No.
Okay.
No, I think at this point I've got them, but since I haven't used them yet, and I am kind of wary that they're being used in possibly tracking methods, I'm gonna.
Mhm.
I don't think I have them on yet.
That's fair. She drops back a little bit more just to kind of whisper over her shoulder at you. Constantly, but also, trying to keep her face straight as possible because she sees the watchers everywhere. And goes, both for your safety as well as evidence. More voices are better than one.
Hmm. Well then, I suppose yes, I will. Given that my compatriots are currently otherwise occupied, perhaps you're right. Perhaps maybe it is a bit late for reading. We'll continue on to my room for the moment, and I will simply await message from the Viceroy or yourself or someone else to let me know either when my companions have been retrieved, if they've been retrieved, or if there's any if there's been any changes with the guards, if the guards have arrived yet for me to do my inspection of them. And I would think I would speak plainly to Sandra because I figure that everything that she hears, everybody else hears. So I'd be like, yes, I've got to inspect the guards, but someone can let me know. But I think I'll simply be in my room until I need to be retrieved.
If you wish, we will collect you before breakfast to do so. We are still gathering a few of the guards that are still on the farther out in patrols and in the mines. But yes, you will be alerted as soon as they are ready for inspection.
Fantastic. And you'll inform me when my companions have returned to the keep?
Of course, sir.
All right. Well,
I will
thank you
be
very
the
much.
first
I
to
will.
alert you.
Wonderful. Then I will see you in the morning at the latest.
She bows to you and walks away as soon as you open the door to your room.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm in my room.
Yes, you're in the common area room of the rooms. Yep.
Common area. Cool. All right.
And
all right. So
go ahead.
Oh, I have one quick thing I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, I think we're hitting that wrap up point, but I have one more quick thing that I want to do away from Sandra, which is so I'm gonna hope that my room is safe. I don't know that there's much better option for it, unless is there a bathroom?
You have your own private bathroom, yeah.
I have my own private bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. I go into my own private bathroom, I close the door, and I ring the bell for Whiskers.
All of a sudden you hear scritch, 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 scritch on the door.
I open up the door, and then I let Whiskers in. I close the door, and I say, "Listen, buddy, would you, by any chance, be able to get this to my friends out in the Dolo district?" And I just take a small piece of parchment and write, "The Watchers spotted you." And just that little note, and hand it to Whiskers and say, "If you'd be able to get this to my friends, I would greatly appreciate it. If you're not capable of that or don't understand me, that's also quite all right." And I give her a little scratch behind the ears.
You give him a scratch, and all of a sudden, Whiskers starts to grow and expand and rise in the bathroom to almost your height. Their neck elongated unnaturally, so even more so, almost serpent-like. As they look at you with their slit cat eyes, bright yellow, and their paw that is no longer a paw, but a hand, takes the note, smiles Cheshire-like at you, and then disappears.
Oh, Kelly.
And that's where we'll call it here and turn over to our other players.
Oh, Jesus.
So you guys are walking down the streets, as I said. You're kind of keeping to the side roads, trying to avoid most of the chaos that is on the main roads of people getting pushed out. Most people are off the streets now, but there's still some people, some rabble-rousers that maybe had a little too much to drink or just being a little stubborn and don't appreciate being forced off the streets by both the last of the guards, the humanoid guards that are still about, as well as the clockwork soldiers who are now coming more in mass into the city. What do you do from here? You're probably about another 4 blocks from your church, Edmund.
Just keep going forward. There's no reason to get preoccupied with what's going on around us, so...
Okay.
If memory serves, we have a sheet over Thomas's head.
Yep, a bed sheet.
Are we concerned about that in public?
No. Because if anyone sees it, they'll be like, oh, they're bringing someone to the church. That person's probably a prisoner, but they have no idea who it is.
Fair. We can play it off that way. I like it.
So his identity is completely concealed.
Make a perception check as you say that. Think of that.
19.
Even with all the chaos you hear on the side streets and some of the streets that you're walking down, there are a couple people that are in doorways getting pushed around, and you hear a person go, see you, and look at you guys pushing a man, like holding onto a man, pushing him down the street under a cloth, and they go, I always knew it! I knew they were gonna start taking us off the streets! I knew they were stealing people! And that starts to generate a hubbub as you guys pass by. Traitors!
I ignore them and then just keep walking.
Perfect. And as you continue to walk and more people hear this and more voices start popping up, both of you make a dex save for me.
14.
14. And Keena's 21.
Yeah.
You're both able to dodge as rocks are thrown at your heads, and they hit the wall next to you. And then next comes a bottle.
I take out my shield and I hold it up, protecting myself and Thomas's dome pieces.
And
I'll do the same from either the other side or back corner and make sure we don't get pegged.
Perfect. So as you put up your shields to block incoming potential debris, more voices shouting. There's actually starting now to have fights in the street over this behind you. People are now like shoving at the guards, shoving at the soldiers. And it's becoming quickly chaotic, and you're almost 3 blocks away from your church now. Do you still stay to the main roads?
Yeah, because if we start doing back roads, it'll look like we're hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll stay to the main roads and
Agreed.
Just start forcing our way through people if they start getting in our way.
Okay. It's getting worse. The streets are, like, people are still off the streets. You're still able to maneuver through the soldiers, but even the soldiers are starting to get kind of heated and are, like, getting a little wary of people coming out of the shops now, out of their houses. Drunks, because they're drunks, getting antsy over that. Disgruntled workers, other townspeople. And that's when you hear someone scream. Do you turn to look as it's something behind you?
I will.
I do not.
You see a clockwork soldier run a woman through and drag her out of the doorway as another one goes into the house.
Edmund, we might want to pick up the pace a little bit. It seems to be getting a little bit chaotic behind us.
And I pick it up even more than I had before.
You are struggling a little bit with picking it up because Thomas cannot see where he's going, so you're kind of having to drag him, so it slows you down a little bit. And as you're walking down the street and it becomes this cacophony, you feel the tension in the air is starting to grow, the chaos, fear of the people, the accusations being flown out. In the distance, as you're higher up, looking down towards the Zoron Keep in the lower part of Dolo, you see, they're not hard to miss, several rows of clockwork soldiers coming out of the keep, heading in your general direction, opposite of you. And all of a sudden, because your perception checks were so high, Keeneth, you noted, actually, who had the higher one? Edmund had the higher one, I apologize. Edmund, you see down, running alongside you is a familiar feline figure with too long of a neck, holding a little note in its mouth.
I don't break stride, but I reach down and hold my hand out for it.
It lets you take the note from its mouth, and then the cat poofs. And do you read it?
I think it would kind of be too hard to read it and run and hold my shield up for cover, so I just keep it clutched in my hand for now.
Okay. Whiskers poofs out in front of you again, like kind of running in front of you, but is like trying to almost trip you up.
Watch it, cat.
He
We
starts,
don't have time for this.
and he keeps trying to trip you up.
I smite the cat.
Edmund, I think he's trying to tell us something.
I pause long enough to read the letter.
It says, "The Watchers have spotted you."
Alright,
We need to get off the main road.
I don't think it's going to matter. They already know where we are. But at least we'll be defensible there if anyone tries anything. How far away from the church are we at this point?
2.5 blocks. The soldiers down farther are probably about 5 blocks away, but they are marching quickly.
Alright, I will lower my shield and I'll just start plowing through people.
Okay, you do that. You plow through pedestrians that are starting to pour out in the street. There's actual fistfights going on in the streets now, and soldiers are becoming more violent. They're taking people by the hair and dragging them into buildings that they've secured. You see soldiers shouting orders, but then you see the clockwork soldiers turn on them and start grabbing them and taking them into these buildings as well. You soon see iron carts come up, these iron carriages that walk through, that some representatives have been transported in, but these ones are giant iron cages instead of actual carriages. And people are starting to get thrown into those, and you see them heading in the same direction as you are, but they go towards the Zoron Keep. And as you come upon the church, you see your religious leader at the door trying to usher people back into the church in all the chaos. You see 1 or 2 other paladins, but they are almost more like squires. They're not quite at the paladin level, that are trying to defend people, bring them in before guards and soldiers can grab them.
Okay, I don't stop. I continue pushing Thomas forward through the church, and once we're inside, I do take the sheet off his head and kind of leave it just wherever we are, and motion for him to continue moving forward.
What is going on? As you're shoving him forward, he's looking around at the chaos.
We'll worry about that later. You need to be protected. For the time being, that's what we're doing.
I feel so safe, he says, as you continue to take him towards the back of the church, towards the cellar where the holding cell is, I assume. Unless you stop to talk to anyone first.
No, I deliver him
first.
to that holding cell first.
Okay.
That's priority.
Alright, you are unmolested, essentially, as you bring him down there. Everyone knows who you are, therefore they assume that Kenneth is with you. They don't say anything about your person. There's a lot of bodies in here, it's a lot of scared people, and everyone's too busy to care what you're doing with one person as you go take him down there.
Once he's there, I lock him inside the cell, and then I look to Kenneth. I'm like, do you have a plan? Or should we just stay here and make sure that we stay attentive to keeping him alive to get more answers?
Well, at this point, we need to keep him protected until I can get a message to the powers that be that can potentially take him off our hands and then protect him more.
This room is absolutely secure, correct? There's only one way in, one way out.
Make a perception check. Or investigative check.
8.
You're pretty certain it's secure, yeah.
Okay. Then I looked at him like, if you wish to rest here, I'll watch over you in the meantime. I'll protect the door. I'll protect Thomas.
Keeneth, with your perception of 15, you're fairly certain this room is secure as you're looking at the walls and everything. But you've lived here long enough to know that most buildings probably have a back door, so to speak, especially in a tunnel city. You just don't see it.
So then, since we're here, we're secure. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a more. We can either, Edmund, we can either ask and see. This is your church, so you would know who to ask. But we could ask if there's another way in or whatever. Get some more information, grab somebody and bring them in here and talk to them, or we can investigate ourselves. See if we can't find something. I'm not so sure that it's as secure as we think.
I raise my brow. I'm like, do you feel that there's a secret passageway out of the cell area?
Possibly.
That would seem like a grievous oversight in the design structure of this holding cell.
It certainly would.
It's just you guys are down in the cellar, and the holding cell is down here with it. So it could be in the holding cell, it could be in the rest of the cellar, if there is one.
Okay. So
I'm just gonna start looking around. Let's just take a moment and look around and see if we can find something.
Okay, I will give him the help action.
Okay. Roll investigation with advantage.
Oh. Dokie. $16.
You're not sure. You're pretty certain that it's secure down here.
Well, through investigation, I didn't see anything else in the room, so it seems secure.
Right, I would have a hard time believing that it's not secure. So, if you want to sleep here, I'll watch over you. I'll make sure nothing happens. If there is a threat, I will wake you up. If anyone needs us, they can find us. But I think for now, our best bet is to hold up here, get prepared for what we need, and then move forward from that.
Sounds good. I cast aid on us so that get a little extra there.
Is aid for 8 hours? Nice.
Okay. It is. Sweet. So I figure while you're protecting us and watching over, get a little bit of extra in the event that it's needed. And with that, I'm going to try and find a corner behind a barrel or something and get a rest.
Sounds good. So since Evan's taking first watch, please make a perception check for me.
17.
Whiskers is there.
You again.
And he looks at you, and he is flicking his tail in a mighty perturbed way and goes, "Meow."
Well, I kind of shake my head. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
Is the paper still on you? Did you throw it away?
I still have it on me.
Okay. It goes to the whatever pocket you put it in and starts pawing at it and goes, "Meow."
I reach down and I take out the piece of paper again.
The Watchers have spotted you.
And what would you like me to do about that?
It looks at you for a long second, and in a very un-animal-like fashion, rolls its eyes, and starts going towards Keeneth, and Keeneth, you are suddenly getting batted by something on your shoulder.
Okay. I obviously wake up and what's happening?
You see Whiskers staring down at you with its long ass neck.
Whiskers. So clearly, Agna is trying to tell us something through Whiskers.
He shakes his head.
No. So she's not telling us.
He nods his head.
So, are you telling us that it's not safe here now?
He nods his head.
Edmund, looks like we need to leave. I don't know what to say.
But there is no safe place here.
And that's when Whiskers turns his head and starts walking up the stairs and looks back at you all.
I think we should follow Whiskers.
I start to look pretty annoyed by it all and open up the cell door.
We're following a cat, says Thomas.
Following a cat.
I looked at Thomas. I'm like, you're the one that got us in this trouble. You don't get to ask questions.
You came looking for me. I'm just saying.
Thomas, I'm a very patient man, but my patience is running very thin. Don't test me.
He glares at you, but doesn't say anything.
I looked at Keeneth. I'm like, wait here. I head back upstairs, and I look for a disguise of sorts to throw Thomas into. You know, if there's a hood or something like that, or not even a hood, but like a helm with like a face covering, so his features can't be identified as he walks with us.
There are definite bits and pieces of armor that are used if necessary, or like are discarded, replaced, etc. So you could find something. There's definitely spare clothes that have been donated, so you could definitely find a cloak in the pile if you wanted.
All right, I grab that, and like I said, I look for like a helmet or something that would conceal his face with like a plate in front of it.
As you're upstairs grabbing all this stuff, you hear pounding at the front door. It says, "Open up! In the name of the Regent 3." And you see
someone
your
else
leader.
can deal with that.
Yeah,
for
your
now.
leader and someone else is going to the door to answer that.
I go back downstairs and throw everything at Thomas. I'm like, put that on now.
Oh, God, fine. And he starts putting it on pretty quickly. And then Whiskers looks to all of you and trots up the stairs, and they hang a left towards your room, Edmund.
I follow the cat.
Perfect.
I usher Thomas along the way, and we follow as well.
As you come into your room, Edmund, like we've discussed before, it's not super ornate or anything like that, but there is a desk, there is a bed, there's dressers for your clothes, places to hang your armor, polish them, etc. Whiskers goes over to your bed and starts pawing at the ground under the edge of it.
I raise my brow and just follow this cat. I push the bed aside.
You see him look up at you and then raise his front paws and slam down on them on the floor there, and then back up.
I check to see what's there.
It's just wood. The wood
The
floor.
trapdoor, anything like that? Does it feel hollow?
Do you knock on it? Do you...
That's
Oh,
how
did
I
it-
figured
did
it was
it-
hollow.
Yeah, did it sound hollow when Whiskers did anything?
He's pretty light, so you wouldn't hear anything from him necessarily. But I assume you go and knock on it yourself, and it does sound like it's hollow under there.
Are the boards loose or are they...
They're not loose, but they bow when you push on them.
I try to pull the boards up.
Make a strength check for me.
17.
You have no trouble cracking and tearing these boards away, and you find a giant hole under where your bed was. It drops
I
down
raise-
maybe 5 to 8 feet.
I raise my brow and I look at the cat, and then I look at Keeneth.
The cat
Right.
purrs, pleased.
Climb down.
The cat follows you down, starts taking the lead.
Oh, as I'm taking up the rear, I slide the bed back over the hole.
Perfect. And then I assume Thomas is between all of you.
Oh, yes.
All right, and you guys start walking down the tunnel, and Thomas is like, if you're gonna kill me, just kill me. I don't need to be paraded around by a goddamn animal. Just muttering under his breath and shit. Just like, this has been a weird day for him.
I don't respond to him.
Do you both have dark vision?
I do.
Okay.
I do as well.
Perfect. So you see in the grayness very easily. Whiskers trotting along ahead of you at a pretty quick pace. You guys walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you start seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, which also is branching off into other tunnels throughout the city. Whisker stops. The tunnel keeps going, but they stop and sit directly under what appears to be some stone and mixed in with iron grates above.
I looked at the cat. I'm like, this is where we need to go.
Meow.
I try to climb up there and see if there's a way in.
Okay, you start climbing up. You get to the wood, or the wooden, the metal grates with the stone, and you push, and it actually does move a little bit when you push on it.
All right, I try to push it aside enough for us to see it through.
Do you peek your head in, or are you just like opening it up?
I just open it up.
You're in the holding area before going into the Great Hall.
So we're back at the keep.
You are back in the keep.
All right, well, I make my way in.
Whiskers is sitting up top when you're there, having teleported himself, and waits for you all to come up and starts walking up the walkway that would lead to the first floor. Also, if anyone wants to, you can either make me a history check or a perception check. 21.
21 on history.
Okay, Keeneth?
I'll throw a perception check out there. I got 10.
It doesn't dawn on you immediately, Keeneth, with all the chaos and this random weird cat supposedly leading you to safety, you hope. But Evan, it dawns on you that there's supposed to be lava directly under this keep. So why is there tunnels extending in all directions under the keep if there's supposed to be magma right there?
Okay, I mentioned that to Keeneth. I'm like, as far as I knew, there was supposed to be lava running through these tunnels. Now that I have a bearing of where we are.
Well, either it's illusory, or they can control it. But why would they turn it off?
Do these tunnels look like they have signs that
Of actual
lava
lava
flowing through
burn?
here?
Yeah.
Everything should be burned to shit if that's the case.
While you were down there, while you did see like remnants of like volcanic glass, it's not fresh enough to be within the last 100 years. It's mostly like broken pieces of volcanic glass, dirt, whatever sludge has slipped in there over the years under the great systems.
Is it possible to have grabbed any of the volcanic glass, a broken shard or two while we're going by?
Of course. There's plenty of it.
Just picking it up and pondering.
Do you guys stay there? Do you want to follow Whiskers? Continue to follow Whiskers? What do you want to do?
Well, I guess we followed the cat. The fact is, we didn't want to come back to this keep, and now we've been led back to this keep, so let's see where this takes us.
Exactly.
Perfect. So Whiskers keeps trotting, and before you guys get to the mouth of the tunnel, where there will definitely be watchers from what you've seen in the keep, there are a lot of them, Whiskers suddenly stops, turns to all of you, winks, and then expands till he is as wide and as tall as the entryway, and turns into a blackness that ripples and shimmers like a doorway.
I hate this thing. I grumble as I walk through it.
You feel a little bit
Can
of
we see
darkness
anything-
tickle your ear.
And can we see into said darkness?
No.
All right. Well, I grab Thomas by the collar and go through as well.
Hey, wait, wah! And as you go through, you pop out in your commons area of your rooms.
And I don't like where this is leading.
I feel we are far worse off than we were before.
If there is an indication, I'm looking at the cat, that... Or is the cat there, other than just was a door?
Do you call for him?
Whisperingly, yes. Whiskers.
He appears between your feet. Meow.
Whiskers.
Meow.
What are we doing? Where are we going? This is not good.
Stares up at you, looks around, and then starts going towards a desk, starts pawing at the drawers, trying to open them, opens them up, is looking for something.
I'm doing everything I can to open drawers and help him spread stuff out on the desk and help him look for what he's looking for.
Okay. Soon as you do, he'll kind of hover around you. He finds ink. He finds paper. He throws the paper onto the floor, and then he bats the ink off the table, so it crashes and spills all over the place. Takes one of his paws and starts smear painting in letters. It is in. Do any of you guys speak Abyssal?
Yes.
You read Sandra. And then underneath that, you read Ryanthal. Or Ryan, because that'd be quicker to write.
Well, that's a risk I wasn't ready to take, but... Edmund, we need to find Sandra.
Is she with Ryanthal? Is that what we're assuming based on this message?
I think so. Whiskers, where is Sandra near?
He thinks for a moment, kind of shakes his head, but also kind of it's a little bit uncertain. He shakes his head, then shakes his head up and down, and then side to side.
Are you looking to have us go to Sandra?
He thinks for a moment, nods.
Do you know where she is?
He nods, but seems almost reluctant to.
I pick up the cat by the back of the neck, and I'm like, are you actually an animal?
Meow.
Is that a yes? Is that a no?
Meow.
Meow once for yes and twice for no.
It does not meow. It starts purring instead.
It seems like this cat has an awful lot of ability for a cat.
I can't speak with animal.
Good choice.
But I don't know if it's a cat, so it could just be a waste. So
Could be.
All right.
I don't have slots to waste.
I don't either anymore.
What do you try to say?
Do you understand me now?
They do not say anything back. Sort of give you a curious look.
I drop him. I just drop him. Just
lands on all 4 feet.
Not having a good time. It's been a long
day.
18 hours. We haven't even gone through a full day.
Yeah, you look at the day-night crystals, and they are definitely a deeper blue now. It is well past supper time. Most people are usually going to sleep at this point, and the night's not getting younger. Neither are you.
Okay, so I guess there's something to be said for hiding underneath their noses. I start looking through these are our common quarters, right?
Yep, so this is your commons room, and then there's your 4 bedroom doors. To the very far left is Ryanthal. You would have known this at this point. You're not sure what room Sheldon's taken, though.
Okay, so, I know what room I took, and I know what room Keeneth took, and we know what room Ryanthal took, so by default, we know which one Shelton's taken. So, 2 things. Let's go to Ryanthal's room first and see if he's there.
Okay, do you knock?
Yes.
Yeah.
No response.
Open the door.
I check the door.
It is locked.
I go to what I would assume is Shelton's room.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Time out. Did we declare where Shelton was yet?
We haven't.
You notice now that Shelton's not here. You're not sure when he left.
I open up the door to his room.
Okay. It's a decent sized master bedroom. Well furnished. There is a secondary door in the back. It's got a dresser, it's got a armoire, rugs, pillows.
I go through his drawers for the robes that he wore, and he wore a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to see if there's a second mask here.
You look through the drawers, you don't find a secondary mask, but you do find plenty of robes. You find half coverings for faces. Something that, because as his neck is covered, he does have one of those.
Okay, and does it cover enough of his face that he'd be very hard to identify?
Likely. If you
All
make
right.
an investigation check for me to see if you can find something better.
5. I found the best that I could. I throw this at Thomas now too.
Yep.
Put it on, Shelton.
Oh,
Or Sheldon.
so, okay. Shelton. Oh, it's a stupid person. And then he puts it all on. Should I
That
wear
looked
the
cute,
helm too, or?
No. Yes. Wear the helm under the cloak and face wrap.
Oh, okay.
I looked at Kenneth. I'm like, they expect 3 of us. Now they have 3.
Yep. I like it. I think this, yes.
I look to him. I'm like, if you do anything stupid, I will run you through. Let's go looking for Ryanthal and Sandra / Becky.
He says, "You've literally taken me to the most dangerous place." So
I didn't
I'm fine.
ask for your opinion. I said, if you try anything, I'm going to run you through.
I said the statement's not an opinion, but sure.
I looked at Kenneth.
I shrug and I just shake my hands. He doesn't understand that we just saved him from the guard by doing what we're doing. So far, it's worked. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go.
He doesn't say anything else.
I narrow my eyes at Thomas before I start walking with Kenneth.
You think he narrows his eyes back at you under the helm?
You understand that I was saying that to Thomas, not
Yes.
to you, Edmund, right?
Oh, okay.
I just pause for a second, and then I grab him and I shove him between us.
Ah, God. Man, he's there.
Just keep your eyes down, and mouth shut.
Vaguely nods.
We will start looking for... Well, we'll start with Ryanthal.
Alright, you go to open the door, and as you do, you see a servant there. A Zoron one go, "Oh, I did not realize you had returned. Do you need anything?"
Do you know where Ryanthal is?
Do you see them look at you for a second and then cant their head to the left? A pause and goes, "Oh yes, they're with the Region 3 at the moment."
Thank you for your cooperation. Where are the Region 3 at this moment?
That is, unfortunately, my good sir, something I cannot disclose to you. But if you wish for me to fetch them once they have concluded their business with the Region 3, I can happily bring them to you.
I looked at Kenneth.
I have. Thank you, and we dismiss her and we continue about our way. Just walking a little bit away from her so that we can talk.
Okay. She does follow you, but at a respectable distance.
I lean into Edmund. Sandra could be in the library. There were 2 places that she had mentioned before, and that was one of them. So we might want to go there.
Do we want to go there before we meet with Ryanthal, though?
Not especially, but do we want to just wait for Ryanthal to be back?
Let's take a look in the library before we return here. Just to see.
It was the library, right?
Correct. So the library is down on the first floor, as you are on the second floor. Are you heading directly there?
Kind of a nonchalant kind of way, sure. Just looking around, talking, ha ha ha,
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
making our way as, that direction-ish.
Okay. So as you're walking, you pass by what are the gardens of the second floor. They're full fluorescent plants and stones of various
Oh, wait.
make. Mm-hmm.
As I see this was the other place, I think, wasn't it?
I don't recall.
That Kaylee in the note.
Mm-hmm.
I look over. What do we see? Anyone?
You don't see... Since you're at the entrance of it, you don't see anyone there. It's like a giant circle with some cross hatches, and then it gets thicker more towards the outside, so you can't see like the back sides of the walls with all the different types of plants and stones in here. You don't see anyone currently from where you're standing at the edge of it.
All right. Continue, please, with the description.
Of course. So it's mostly phosphorus stones and bioluminescent plants, fungi of different natures, weirdly shaped short trees that kind of twist, and instead of leaves, they kind of expand like fingers across the ground. They almost look bony. You see different types of ivy crawling across the rocks. Their leaves, instead of green, are purple and blue. You see stones glow of various shades of blue, like the jadeite crystals, and some of red and orange. And at the back, overarching all this, because this part of the castle does open up to the sky, well, to the top of the mountain where the peak shoots straight up, where you're almost directly under it, is a giant stone. I don't know how to describe it other than like it looks like part of the mountain had crashed down here and had settled into the pipes, as it is the only part of the keep that is not carved out, and it takes over almost the entire back of the keep. From end to end, it's almost 700 feet long. And as you were walking up in the higher edge of the city, when you looked down upon the keep, you did see that there's maybe about another 250, 300 feet of flat land like the rest of the area around the keep. But this is the only part that has not been excavated or carved like the rest of the castle. And down below, you see what looks to be the library.
Curious. But nobody here that we can
No,
see.
it's quiet.
I want to ask this person. Is she still with it? Is she still following us?
Yeah, she's a few feet back, being respectful of your privacy.
We continue on to the library then.
Okay. As you're walking, and you're taking kind of the long way, meandering about to get there, you do pass what appear to be the servants' quarters on this level. You do see two large guardian clockworks, the 7 feet tall ones, guarding the hallway to that part of the keep, and you do occasionally see a human or a half-elf or a Drogar back there, and they all look very nervous and scared. And you've noticed that even with the Zollern servant following you, you haven't seen many servants walking around the keep since you've walked up here. And there's usually a few more than the one.
We continue on to the library.
Okay. You head downstairs. You do see the watchers monitor you as you pass. Their red sphere eyes watching your every movement until you're quote-unquote out of range or in the range of the next one. You eventually make your way over to the library.
Is it a doorway, an archway? Can we just go in?
It is an archway to just walk through. It's a little more narrow than the other doorways, but two by two could go in.
Enter respectfully, quietly, and look around for Sandra if she happens to be there.
Make a perception check.
17.
You give the library a very thorough look over, and you do not see her. And as you're looking around I assume you're not hiding that you're looking for something as you meander the shelf. At least as you're like meandering, looking at the shelves and whatnot. The servant goes, "Is there something particular that you're looking for?"
Well, being one of knowledge and study, I'm always on the lookout for lore or pertinent information that might catch my attention.
What sort of information would that be in regards to?
Oh, about everything, really.
Hmm.
Anything to catch one's eye. Any suggestions?
Well, if it is lore that you are seeking, we have quite a few volumes on Patron, as this is his home, or what's believed to be, as well as the home of Matronus when she was wed to him. We do have some tombs on Twyla as well, as we mostly only get moonlight in here, and very rare at that. I suppose if there's something more specific, I could help the search.
Well, if you have a volume on Twyla that's easy to acquire at the moment, that could be of interest. Or specifically, also anything on the War of the Gith.
They cant their head to the left again for a moment. Another moment passes and goes, "One moment, I will go fetch it for you." And they walk to another shelf around the corner, as this library is kind of built like a maze.
Edmund, if we're looking to ditch her, now's the time.
Where are we going, though?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Let's not ditch her yet.
We could ask her where Sandra is.
Becca.
Sure.
Sandra was his wife. Becca was a servant.
No, that's the other way around.
Is it?
Yep.
No. Well, then yes. Never mind. Then Sandra.
Sandra's the one who dropped the note, right?
Yep. And who Thomas believes to be Becca, as it was the same servant you would recognize by the voice at this point.
Right.
And the missing copper coin on her back that Shelton snatched.
If we ditch her, then that's going to be far more suspicious as us just wandering around. Plus, we don't know where we're going.
We don't.
So we don't have a reason to lose her because we don't know where to get to.
The sullen servant starts to come back. You hear them. They're the soft jangle of the coins that are on their robes. Ah, here's a book on Twyla. Unfortunately, we don't have much on the gift other than a few manuscripts, but I can go fetch those for you and bring them to you later. They are not in the library. I believe those are in the Viceroy's studies, or the study room. But here is that tome you asked for.
Excellent. I take it, kind of lean it on a shelf or whatever, and start thumbing through it. So it's awfully quiet here. What, where is everyone?
Oh, I thought you were aware. The interrogations have begun.
Interrogations?
Yes. Ryanthal, when speaking to the Viceroy, made it clear that there should be conversations had with all of the staff, which is agreeable. There is potentially traitors among us, which I did highly doubt. But Ryanthal wants to see to the guards' inspections come early morrow, and the rest of the servants will be interviewed tonight, and then us servants, the Zollerns, are currently being interrogated one by one by the Viceroy himself. It'll be my turn in the next half hour or so.
So that's where Ryanthal is now. He's with the Regent 3?
They cant their head for a moment. He was. They provided him with his request, so now he is in one of the laboratories doing research to see if he can understand how the magic of our clockwork watchers failed in identifying the trespasser. And I believe, and she cants her head to the right this time, pauses. Servant Sandra is with him as well.
Well, it would be good to join up with our compatriot and see if he's figured anything out. You say he's in the laboratory?
Yes, one of the Clockwork Masters' laboratory, where he works on his various creations and improving their design.
Would it be all right and advisable if we could join him?
Not at this time. If you wish to have an audience with the Regent Free and request their permission specifically, with due cause, that can be arranged.
What do you think, Edmund?
I really feel like we need to speak with our friend without having the Regent 3's involvement. We also have full reign of the keep, according to the Viceroy.
The Viceroy is
So-
not all authority in the keep. And I serve the Regent 3 and the Viceroy equally.
Interesting.
But if you wish to meet up with your compatriot, I can send word that he is to meet you in your rooms when he's finished.
Send word to him immediately. And I start walking back to the room.
Of course. And she follows a respectable distance.
Yeah, so we head back towards the commons area.
Mhm.
Is there area to sit here?
Yep, there are tables, there are plenty of chairs, there is a roaring rune style fireplace, so there's no fire, but the runes are nice and warm.
We'll stand over by the roaring rune.
It roars silently back at you.
Lovely.
The door is shut behind you, and you are left to your devices.
But she does not join us in the commons area.
No. They would never unless allowed entry by you, your group.
Edmund,
Yes.
I feel more and more like we're prisoners here.
Which is why you need to sleep.
You're not wrong.
To try to get the sleep needed to replenish your abilities.
Thank you.
And again,
Edmund.
I will keep watch.
Very good. I go to my quarters.
Okay.
Actually, no. Is there any place here? A commons area, couch, something?
There's a couple
A
of lounging.
daybed?
There's definitely like lounging couches and whatnot, love seats.
Yeah, I'm gonna Edmund, I think it best if we're together.
Very well.
So I'm just gonna, and then I just crash out on one of the couches.
Perfect. And as Keeneth drifts off to a troubled sleep, Edmund standing guard over his compatriot as well as their new hostage acquaintance moping in the corner of the room. With Shelton still nowhere to be found, we turn back over to Ryanthal. You're still in the bathroom, still reeling, trying to make sense of what you just witnessed. It couldn't have been more than a few minutes ago. And yet, the note is missing from your hand, tells you that it was real. That there's more than meets the eye with everything in this castle. And it is right about then, as you come back to your senses, that you hear a faint commotion, not in your rooms, but just beyond, in the commons room. And you remember the vaguely familiar voices of your compatriots settling in for the night. And not a moment later, you receive a message in your head stating, "They have returned. They are in the commons room." And that is where we'll end tonight's session. Thank you everyone so much for joining Dorks Are Dangerous, Chronicle 3, Session 4. Tune in next week when the party is finally brought back together with all these different pieces of what Rheinthal has and what Shelton, Edmund, and Kenneth have brought it as well. Let's see if the Cat Whiskers is evil, what is happening with Sandra now that she has contacted both sides of the party. And please check out our socials, Instagram, Facebook, the TikTok. Sometimes we post there as well. Please do check out our Patreon if you like what we're doing. If you do subscribe, you might be able to help us build the canon of this world, whether that be monsters, bad guys, abilities, races, classes, you name it. But otherwise, thank you so much. And just remember, dorks are dangerous. Bye!